All right, everybody. So Miles Burghoff here. We're here at bassboatelectronics.com in Ultramarine, and I just got my boat done. And the music in the background is perfect because it's from Top Gun, and this thing is a fighter jet if I've ever seen one. They just got done with this build. They designed a really cool system on this boat, from the electronics to the trolling motor. Everything on this is, I'm just really excited about it. So I'm gonna let my boy Nathan, one of the best techs in the biz, to kind of walk me through what we did here. Nice entrance, by the way.
Yeah, man. So we'll start with these two. Obviously, we went with the 1643 for live scoping. And then down here, he's got the 1243 for mapping, down imaging, 2D, whatever he wants to do there. But this right here, that's the juice, obviously, that everybody wants to see, is the 1643 for live scoping.
With the LVS 34.
With the LVS 34. And then we also we went ahead and put, you know, your regular transducer here. So in case something was to happen, you would still have 2D or down imaging there.
You guys texted me and you're like, do you still want to have a transducer on the bottom here? I'm like, yes. I am still old school at heart as far as my fishing, so I wanted to make sure I had 2D sonar.
Well, yeah, and it's not a bad idea either, because if this was to go out, then you still have some kind of depth.
Oh,
you know?
yeah. And I like fishing shallow water, and a lot of times when you get into like 2 foot, you know, little depth changes make a difference, and this isn't going to help you much.
No, because at like 2 foot, 3 foot, sometimes it'll start, you know, the 34 kind of go in and out of depth.
Yeah.
You'll still have the image, but the depth will start getting all wacky sometimes. So it's good to have the regular transducer there as well.
Totally.
And then obviously Miles went with the power pole move this year, and this is actually a 52, and that's a little bit bigger than what a lot of people run, but if you look, it's actually not that big. It's so low profile that the 52-inch shaft really isn't all that big.
Yeah, and put that in perspective. I used to run the Motor Guide Tour Pro, and that had a pretty big head on it. So I was actually kind of worried, because I selected the Move because of its shallow water durability. And just, you know, Power Pole is a company that's built around shallow water fishing. You know, they're from Florida. And so I chose this for that reason. And then when we got it, it was the 52-inch version, which, you know, originally I wanted the 45, but then I took the measuring tape out and measured, you know, my old trolling motor, which I know that you know, it used to work very well for my style of fishing. And it's actually not much taller at all. And it gives me the option, like when we go up to the Great Lakes, I can put this thing all the way down, and that motor's just not gonna get out of the water very much at all. So
no, it's really the best of both worlds, in my opinion.
And look how solid this thing is.
That, and it's blacked out just like the boat, so you're good there.
Looking great.
But these units, of course, Van, they're on BBT mounts. Van, as always, he's killing it, so you can't get better mounts than what Van's came up with.
Yeah, and let's not skip over that, because this right here is a big improvement this year on the whole setup, because traditionally I've always had us rig it with an external plug. Because, like, you know, Pheonix from the factory, they have it all hardwired in on a board in there, which is great, you know.
Until you have a problem.
Until you have a problem. And in tournament fishing, you're always going to have problems. It just happens. It's just, you know, it's Murphy's Law out there. And so I wanted to have access to be able to unplug a trolling motor, maybe have to swap it out on past boats, because otherwise I'd have to unscrew the whole BBT mount to get to the access points in there. This mount is actually, what do they call it, the hood?
It's the hood. It's basically, it's like a car hood in a way. You take a couple bolts out down here, and this whole thing will actually pivot like a car hood.
So yeah, you can see the hinge right here. So take these 2 bolts out and these 2 bolts out, and I've got clear access, so I can pretty much get any screwdriver on this side. This one I might have to have a squat screwdriver, which I carry on my boat at all times. But the point is, just 4 little bolts, real quick, you can unhinge that, and I've got the factory mounted power system for the trolling motor from Pheonix down there, which I think is ultimately a much better system, you know, if you can get access to it. So yeah,
if you can eliminate the plugs, you know, you're basically direct connected there. So Another feature right here that Van and them make is this L bracket. I call it an L bracket, but it's actually for the heading sensor. And that allows us to mount that right there. Instead of drilling more holes in your boat, we can actually mount that right there, and it keeps it up away from everything. You don't get no magnetic interference or anything that way. Well, that's that up there. That's everything up front. And then back here, you actually have 2 more Garmin 1243s. And that's going to allow you, obviously, you know, like always, to split.
Yeah.
You'll be able to run mapping on one, and then your side imaging, down imaging on the other. And then a lot of times what people do too is, like on this side, you see, like a lot of times they'll split and they'll have, you know, your right side of your side imaging on this side, and then your left side of your side imaging on that side.
Right.
But 2 1243s there on another BBT mount, obviously. And this is all being powered. We went in, made a custom wiring harness, and we beefed up the wiring for, I mean,
Nice.
this, it's above and beyond. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the thickest wire you can basically put in one. It's
Really?
overkill, really. But
Oh, cool.
you got plenty of juice.
Sweet.
You got plenty of wire there.
I like that, because when you're dealing with good batteries, you want a good, you know, if you don't have good wires, what's the point, you know?
Right.
So on the power system, you know, I started working with Pro Guide batteries this year, so we've got a really awesome system. So previously, last year's boat and boats prior, we were still running lithium for the trolling motor system.
Right.
But we're running a 12 volt series.
Right.
So it was 36 volt in series, so 3 batteries. And in that instance, it worked out most of the time, but again, in those scenarios where things go bad, go wrong, and maybe one battery goes bad, goes into hibernation or something like that, you're done.
Right.
You can't get out of that with a bad battery.
Well,
you know?
this year that's not going to happen, because
Yeah.
for one, now you're running Pro Guides, and you're actually running, for the trolling motor side, Miles is running 2 36 volt lithiums in parallel. But say he's out on the water and one of these go to sleep, or he kills one, he's got an extra 36 volt battery to stay on the water. So it's like having backup in a way.
Yeah.
It's kind of bulletproof.
Dude, redundancy and backups, spare parts, I love that.
Right.
And it also gives us more space in conjunction with the one pump system for the power poles. We've got extra space. So now we've got that one, the one dual anchor pump system that saves about 40% space in back here. And then we lose a battery. That means I got plenty of space for the my spare prop, which is important to me. And it
just saves a lot of room. And the one pump deal for the power poles, and then your one less battery, it just makes everything a lot cleaner and more space to carry tools or whatever. You know?
I've been pretty claustrophobic the last few years with the 5 battery setup we had
Yeah,
last
it
time.
was. I mean, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
And now, and on this side, he's running. So that was the trolling motor side. All the voltage he's getting to run all this now, he's running 2 31 AGM Pro Guides. And a lot of people are running, lithiums on the cranking side, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he's going to have plenty of voltage. These 2 31 AGMs are in parallel. So he's going to have all the amperage and voltage he needs to run what he's running.
Cool.
There's not multiple, live scope transducers and all that, so you're going to have all the amps you need with that setup. And then obviously you can see back in there, it's really tucked in there, but he's also running the new Pro Guide charger as well.
Yeah.
And that's a beefy charger. I like it.
Yeah. That one is the what's the model number? It's a 1236X.
Yes, it's a 1236X.
Yeah, and you had to make a special little mount for that, so I
did.
appreciate you doing that.
It was a little taller, so we went in, made a
there's like a little shelf
mount
there. But that's one of the things that these guys do well is you guys should be MacGyver Marine is what you should be. We also have another GPS puck back here. Other than redundancy, I don't know what was the idea behind having the puck back here. Just redundancy, or?
Pretty much. I mean, you pretty much have two. Two's better, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like with having one back here, sometimes you'll get some motor, like magnetic interference.
Right.
So if you got one up there,
Yeah.
you know, if you're getting magnetic interference back here, you're obviously not going to up there. So that helps
Cool.
that process.
Cool. Other than that, we've got a through-hole transducer. I know that you guys glassed into or epoxied in.
Epoxied in a through-hull transducer down in there. And then you got the GT36 down here. It's on the transom, obviously. It's tucked up, hidden under there. And then one other thing we did, which I don't know that you're going to be able to see it, but in his live well, we went in and did what we do best, drill holes in people's boats. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. It's tucked up in here. It's way back in there. You can actually see it. It's that black thing right there. So Garmin makes a temperature sensor. So what we did is we put one in his live well. That way, when on those hot summer days in July or August when he's fishing, he's got a live well full of fish, like 30 pounds, whatever. He can check the temperature and make sure that, you know, that water's not getting too hot for him. He'll be able to add ice, whatever he needs to do to keep those fish cool.
Yeah.
So that is a cool little deal that we did on this one, just so he can monitor the water temperature.
I am very stoked on that.
It's a pretty cool
much,
deal.
yeah.
I mean, that was a good idea.
Yeah. And he was using his noggin when he picked which side to use, because normally we have co-anglers, so that side would be the co-anglers, you know, live well. But this year we don't have co-anglers on the opens, and I'm a big fan of you know, a ballast, you know, creating that ballast and you know, putting weight where it needs to be to kind of, you know, make up for the fact that I'm sitting on this side. And he put it on that side because that'll be the first one that I fill up, because the weight's on that side. Just as kind of
the weight distribution when you fish by yourself is a big deal.
It is,
and it's a big deal in these boats, you know, to get the speed and the ride you need. So, yeah, we put it in there just so that'll be the one he'll probably fill up first, and they're going to stay about the same. So, and you could technically put one on this side as well, but they're going to stay about the same temperature.
And that's a NEMA network.
It's all through NEMA.
So that I could see that on any of my screens.
Yes.
You probably already said that, I don't know.
Yeah, you'll be able to monitor it all right through your, you know, your 1243s right there at the dash.
Mm-hmm. And then you guys didn't have anything to do with it, but we've got the Mercury Pro XS 250 on there. Yeah, I think I got the Atlas up there, blinker trims. This thing's decked out. I'm really excited.
This is a sweet rig.
I'd thank Jason if he was here, but you guys did the work, so
man.
Thank you, buddy.
Yep.
I really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure,
man. You did. This is an awesome build. So if you guys are interested in getting a customized build for your boat, you got to check these guys out. They sell all the electronics you could ever need, and they install them too. And then Ultramarine is a certified, you know, Mercury, you know, dealer, and also, you know, they work on anything. So check them out, bassboatelectronics.com. And what's the Ultramarine website? Just ultramarineservice.com? Nailed it. See you guys.